Our model is about creating an environment where we have engaged, happy staff. There's a real opportunity to take our industry and the BPO business and spread it across the world. Contact centre and customer experience absolutely is a career.
Hi, welcome back to the Iris Pod, where we're looking at trends, predictions for 2024 in the CX space. And in this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Dave D'Arcy, industry expert, and looking after a really exciting venture around BPOs in a location that probably isn't your kind of usual location for BPOs, right?
I think it's going to come as a bit of a surprise to people, Tom, to be honest with you. It's a very different location. I'm doing some work with an organisation called QSolve, who are a subsidiary company of an American healthcare business called OnQ. And they have an operation in a city about 2.5 hours away from Nairobi in Kenya. And we have launched here at Expo the UK to the UK market. I'm pleased to say that I'm going to be leading the business development element of that over the coming months and hopefully beyond. It's a very, very new location for BPO, and it's a very different location, and there's some really great quality reasons for going there. I'm looking forward to telling people all about it.
Excellent. Well, we're going to dig in. But this episode, the theme is about locations.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about AI. We've been talking about agent experience and all of these different topics, economic topics. This one, location. And it feels like BPOs in particular have started to expand into overseas. Obviously, South Africa is a big place for outsourcing, partly because of the time zone. We're seeing emergence into the Caribbean and other markets over there to service the US market. So Kenya, why has that not been done before? What's the kind of rationale behind that location?
I think there are a couple of businesses that have gone there that have started in Kenya. I think you're right in what you say, that traditionally South Africa was the location on the continent, and yeah, absolutely, the rationale behind that is that the time zone is really convenient for the UK market. It's a great help from that point of view. I think one of the challenges that comes with South Africa right now is that it's become saturated. There are more BPO organisations in South Africa than I could probably count, and from different scale, from the really big guys in the industry down to some small and excellent independent organisations. But it is a difficult market to get into there now because of how saturated it is. And there's a big attrition problem because there are so many opportunities for contact center agents and team leaders and managers to be able to move to other organizations literally on their doorstep. So we started to look at Kenya as a location because we still have the benefit of that time zone. It still sits just 1 hour time difference from the UK. Also because we as a business try not to locate ourselves in capital cities anywhere in the world. So, for example, we currently have operations in Panama, in a place called Santiago, so we've avoided Panama City. In India, in Hyderabad, so again, we've avoided the mainstays in the contact center world of places like Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, and Pune. And so when we've come to Kenya, we've said, okay, we're going to avoid Nairobi. We're about 2.5 hours away from Nairobi, and that gives us the opportunity to share the opportunity with people who are very well educated. It's a university city, so we've got great skills, great staff abilities, great availability to staff. But on top of that, we're giving those people an opportunity in employment that they would have to travel out away from their families, 2.5 hours to Nairobi to get. So we're going to be in a position where we're going to have a great level of retention of our agents, which is a great help to us. And we're also going to be in a position where we're going to be able to give those people a really genuine career opportunity within QSolve for many years to come. And the other thing that's really worthy of saying on the matter is that one of the challenges that I think exists within the BPO market in the traditional locations, South Africa, India, Philippines, and the like, is that these are by virtue of time and local culture are very tell environments. The management style in these environments is very, this is what you have to do, do it. Um, we want to try something different. We want to have an environment that's truly about engaging our employees, engaging people to feel that they understand the value of the business, that they understand the purpose of what the business is trying to achieve, that they recognize that we have trust in them and therefore they can trust us. My favourite question to staff is always, what would you do if it was your business? And that's the ethos that we want to bring up. And starting in a brand new location gives us the opportunity to do that from the ground up, whereas being in one of the more traditional locations, perhaps less so.
Excellent. And how much of this is an economic decision, both in terms of, well, let's start with the clients that you know
Hmm.
will attract to base operations out there. Is this about simply driving down cost, or is this something where actually that's not a factor?
I mean, look, cost is always a factor. Let's not kid ourselves. The cost to our clients for QSolve in Kenya will be very comparable to what clients will be paying currently in South Africa or India or indeed the Philippines. So, we'll go straight to the number. We're going to be looking in and around the £10 an hour per agent hour. So there is a cost benefit there, absolutely, for our clients. There is naturally economic value in us being in a location like Kenya. But then, yeah, we haven't chosen that location for that reason. We've chosen that location because the skills that exist in Kenya
Yeah.
really, really help our market. From a client perspective, we can offer absolutely first class English language and English accent, which is something that some of those other locations struggle with. In addition to that, as I've already touched on, our model is about creating an environment where we have engaged, happy staff that are bought into what we're achieving and bought into our client base. And so what people will benefit by coming to Kenya from is that they will get a cost efficient, high quality service with a partner that has bought into their ethos and vision.
Broader speaking, in terms of location for outsourcing or even in-house contact center operations, you mentioned accent. There's some solutions out there now using AI. Obviously, a continuing theme of innovation around AI, but using AI to translate the accent into
Mhm.
more of a kind of American or English accent. What's your thoughts on those things? I'm a bit on the fence over, is this a good thing, or is this something actually potentially quite offensive?
Yeah, I share your view of being on the fence. To be quite honest with you, I think look, let's not kid on here. We know that AI is going to play a big part in our future. We know that it's going to be there to assist us. Um, I don't feel comfortable with the suggestion that it is in any way capable of replacing a human. I think AI should be looked at and will grow into something that will be assisting to humans. So I feel uncomfortable with the kind of AI voice manipulation that would bring about an accent. It can be done, but I think it's still got a long way to go to make it really the right solution. And at this moment in time, the investment that would be required to make that solution work is far greater than coming to a fabulous location where the accent is natural. It's going to deliver the service that you want for your customers.
Yeah, well, there's some fantastic guys behind one of the solutions in particular. I was fortunate enough to meet them earlier this year, and I like the innovation.
Mm.
I like the innovation around it and the discipline of AI for that. And you can see some scary things are happening. Deep fake videos where
Mm.
politicians or celebrities have been deep faked, and their accent and their pronunciation, it's exactly as they speak, and that I feel like that's a slippery slope into some really dangerous use cases of AI.
It's troubling, isn't it? It's the challenge with all of that, with the deep video and the whole of the AI piece is people believe what they want to believe, and therefore those fake videos, there's a whole community of people out there who they think that's really is what these film stars have said and done, and that's very troubling. But I think, we have to turn that on its head, and we have to think about, AI and e-technology, when the internet was born, in the hands of bad actors, these things are always going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
But for the better good of us all, we shouldn't be looking for the bad side. I think we need to look for what can this activity do, what can this technology do for us, how can it assist us to deliver better, um, and allow the people who will behave badly, because that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen in any area of life. Back to location for contact center and the arrival of your company in Kenya. Was there a thought process around that in terms of looking at a city or a country that was offering investment support? Was that part of the play here?
Um, I wasn't there at that time, but I don't believe so. Sean Hammerley, who is the chief operating officer of OnQ, the parent company for QSOL, he talks about the fact that there was a desire to expand. They were already in Panama, they were already in India. There was a desire to look for another location. Felt that Africa was the right place, and Kenya came about. It was at the time of the COVID pandemic, and so it all kind of fell together quite nicely that was the location. Um, they were very keen on the particular part of Kenya that they've gone to. Um, was it? It's absolutely going to have been economically favourable. I don't believe there was any incentive as such
Yeah,
to be there.
I was just wondering whether there were other countries looking at this industry and thinking, this is something where we can create jobs, and inward investment, you know, careers. There's a lot of good, skilled, educated people, and spreading out that investment to make a great number of cities that are not necessarily um, don't necessarily receive the attention and the funding. This
Completely.
is a fantastic industry to then swoop in and provide those jobs.
I think it's happening. I think, particularly if you look on the African continent, there are businesses that are already starting to move north from the traditional base of Durban, Cape Town, and Johannesburg, and so we are seeing operations in places like Ethiopia, in Uganda, Rwanda, Ghana. There are already businesses that are opening their call center operations in those places, and Northern Africa has for some time been a place of real attraction. Egypt, and Morocco in particular are really quite big centres from an outsourcing perspective. So I think absolutely there's a real opportunity to take our industry and the BPO business and spread it across the world, and bring that opportunity to work within the industry, and to make a good career out of it, to people in parts of the world that perhaps it would never have been considered. And the other thing I find when I travel the world looking at these places is, yeah, I think sometimes people have got a perception that some of these countries um, that won't have the infrastructure or the capability or the stability to manage clients from the more normal kind of first world countries, shall we say, UK, US, Australia, and Europe as a whole. And I find that's not the case. I find myself ever more astonished at the countries I go to, and they're just fabulous, wonderful locations with great infrastructure and great services. And we should all take the time to go and see more of it.
Yeah, agreed. The worst internet service I've had all year has been at the Enterprise Connect show in Orlando, Florida, where I was under 1 meg. So that flip it around the other way.
Yeah.
In terms of the agent side, what's the process of recruiting into a new entity?
Sure.
How are you getting the staff in, training them? We see an ever increasing. You just mentioned careers as part of this, and I think there is a bit of a shift. I'm not sure we're fully there yet, but a bit of a shift in terms of contact center being a career. Whereas before it was quite transient, and I think there's a lot more investment into the training, education, and ongoing coaching and development of call center staff now.
Yeah, right. So let me take that in reverse. Firstly, contact center and customer experience absolutely is a career. I think you're absolutely correct that in years gone by, when I first came into this industry, it was probably seen as something people did on their way to finding what their real career path was. I think we're a world away from that now. There are so many different avenues that people can take from starting within a contact center to every other aspect of business. So I think that's a great thing. In terms of starting and recruiting in a new location, well, what we found in Kenya is that the city we're based is a city called Nure, and it's a university city. And when we opened the centre first, we looked to recruit 350 to 370 people. We had applications from 1,200 university graduates. Um, we will have no problem recruiting further. The quality of candidate was outstanding, and will continue to be so. Um, it's the countries like Kenya and other parts of Africa, and certainly even across some parts of the Caribbean and Eastern and Central Europe, we're seeing all the same things. In that the educational standard in most of these countries is just absolutely superb and is improving all the time because these countries, the populations of these countries, recognise the need for them to offer so much more that they go out, they get these great educations, and they offer that back into the business world. Um, the recruitment is a joy to do, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. And then they're in the role, you know, what's QServe's vision for the ongoing development, training and coaching and so forth?
We're on Q as a business prior to opening the subsidiary of QSolve. Their whole ethos has always been about promote from within. Sean Hammerley often talks to me about the fact that there's the senior leadership team within the organisation, the C-suite of leaders, the VPs report into those people. So the true operational leadership of that business, every single one of them was started in OnQ as an agent and has
See.
been promoted through the business. That's the ethos that we have, and that's what we'll continue to deliver and develop.
Excellent. Um, what other countries are next up on the
Wow.
agenda?
um, I don't know that I want to say too much because I don't want to give away his strategy. He might not be very happy about that. I equally might want to put some ideas in his head as to where I'd like us to go next. I've mentioned to him the idea that St. Lucia looks really, really good. I don't know that that's gone down particularly well. Um, uh, I think we'll wait and see. But there will be further locations. The ambition of OnQ is to reach 10,000 staff across 5 continents. So well on our way in terms of staff numbers. We're in three continents now. So we've got 2 more continents to go. So watch this space really.
And is the model that these are office-based roles? Is it hybrid? What's the kind of setup and the way that you're establishing the actual contact center itself?
It's a great question. It's our intent in each instance is to open an office-based centre and to bring people into that centre on a daily basis so that we can build the culture that we want to create and put down that vision and ethos as we want it to be. Once that's done, and certainly it's the case in our Panama operation, once that's done, we can be more flexible about that. Once people are on board, we're part of that Q family. We talk about the Q family frequently. Then we're more comfortable with saying to people, hey, make your work location work for you as long as it works for us. But it is a team, and so we need to make sure that team has a cohesion about it, and that does mean we like to bring people into the office as much as possible.
Great, Dave. We're at the end of our time, but we've got our rapid fire round,
Been looking forward to this.
which is going very well with everyone else. So big prediction for 2024 tech in the CX space. What do you think's happening?
I think we're going to see a great deal of consolidation across the different elements of contact center and CX software and tools. I think we're going to see more and more businesses that offer different components, whether it be the telephony, whether it be the unified communication tools of that integrate voice messaging and video, and then that further integration into CRM and so on and so forth. So I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation there. I think we'll see more and more wonder come from AI, but I think not quite to the extent and speed that people have anticipated, but quality nonetheless.
And what technology or CX fad are you looking forward to evaporating in 2024?
Do you know, I'm really on the fence about the AI thing, and I think AI has got great potential. But I was there 5-10 years ago when people started to talk about it's going to take over the world and we're all going to lose our jobs. I really hope that 2024 is the year where people stop talking about that. I think let's move away from this idea that the robots are going to take over. It ain't happening. Although I should point out to you at that I once did a presentation, and when I first wrote the slide, I said the robots will not be taking over the world. Only the typo said the robots will not be taking over the world. And so equally, I want to ensure everybody who's listening to this that there is no danger of an army of Bobs, Robs, or Roberts taking over the world. That ain't happening either.
You should have run the presentation text through ChatGPT. It might have corrected the spelling. And then left field random prediction outside of CX. What if we sit down in a year's time on this sofa in this very hall? What's the kind of random thing that you think is going to happen?
Oh, 2024.
Yeah.
Outside of CX, I randomly predict that Donald Trump will not be president.
Oh.
And England will win the European Championships.
Oh.
And Liverpool will be Premier League champions again.
That's 3 predictions, and I dislike one of them intensely, and that's as a Spurs fan, we'll let you make your own choice of which one. And Dave, lastly, tell us something random about Dave D'Arcy that our listeners will not know.
Well, how random do people go on this?
People have played it quite safe, if I'm honest, so far.
Okay, so I'm going to buck the trend. I'll go straight to it. Something random that people don't know about Dave D'Arcy. Can I have 2?
You can have as many as you want.
I'm going to have 2, right. So the first one is my mother's maiden name was D'Arcy before she married Mr. D'Arcy, my dad. And they needed to get special dispensation from the Pope to get married. And so I find it very difficult to explain to people sometimes that I am the nearest thing you'll find to inbred. So that's one. And the second is my second wife, my love of my life, my wife continues now and will continue to be my wife forever, was my first wife's best friend. And it's not as Jerry Springer as it sounds, so people will have to contact me and ask me about it.
You've definitely bucked the trend and revealed, but I appreciate that, and great to chat with you, Dave.
Excellent, really enjoyed it.
What you're building in Kenya with QSolve. Sounds like a fantastic vision, so good luck to you.
No, thank you very much for the time. It's been great to chat with you, and yeah, hopefully big things for QSolve. People need just come and ask me about it. I'm happy to talk.
Excellent, thank you. And thank you for joining this episode of our CX24 Trends with Dave D'Arcy. And we'll be back with some more wonderful episodes, wonderful guests. Tune in.
As long as we have human customers, we're going to need to have human advisors at some level. It doesn't matter what the industry is. I think if we do the right thing for our vulnerable customers, we're doing the right thing for all of our customers. It's about humans having human experiences and connecting with our human customers.